What's going on, Commanders fan? Just believe in Commanders. I'm Anthony Armstrong. I always got my man Brian Murphy. He's all the way down there in ATL. But first off, just want to let you know what we got on the show. We're going to talk about that game against the Vikings. We got to talk just a little bit of recap of really what's going on in the NFC East, and then what up these next couple 3 games. But let's talk to my man Brian Murphy. Brian, what's going on with you? How are you, sir?
I'm good. Yeah, tough one. Felt like they had the game won. It's so frustrating, but hey, it's all right. Live to see another day. Actually, didn't fall too far in the standings, which I'm sure we'll get to. But yeah, we as always are brought to you by Bet Online. We know that football is in full swing. We are halfway through the season, which is crazy to believe. But basketball is back, and Bet Online remains your number one source for all your sports betting needs, whether it's basketball, football, baseball, all that good stuff. You'll always find the latest odds, team matchup info, player news, and game trends at Bet Online. And as your continued source for all sports wagering information, Bet Online features live betting, free contests, and giveaways all season long. And it's always the fastest way to bet all your favorite sports, like I said, whether that's NFL, NBA, NHL, MMA, tennis, boxing, or even golf. Just head to betonline.ag to join and receive your 50% welcome bonus with your first deposit. So you put in $100, you put in our code BLEAV, you get 50 back. So that's free money, son. Make sure you use promo code BLEAV to receive your rewards, and Bet Online where the game starts.
Yes,
And
indeed. Yes, indeed. Check us out also. Just want to drop this
that's right.
early here in the show. Check us in on all the different platforms. They got TuneIn Radio, SiriusXM. You catch us on Stadium sometimes. They do a little breakdown of a lot of the Believe shows over there. And it's your favorite streaming platform. So we're on all different spots that you can check us out.
That's right. So we had been pretty used to reeling off some victory pods, and then it comes to a crashing halt this week. The Commanders drop a winnable game, a game they had a 10-point lead in the fourth quarter. They lose to old friend Kirk Cousins, who leads a 10-0 run at the end of the game to tie it up, and then a game-winning field goal with 16 seconds left. The Vikings leave D.C. victorious. And of course, my timeline was filled with Kirk Cousins dancing and with chains on. So hated to
Lord
see
have
that.
mercy.
Let that one get away. What are your initial thoughts on that game and how Sunday went for the Commanders?
Oh man, that game reminded me of you reach your hand into a bucket of Jelly Bellies or something, and you get the one that's like the nasty flavor. Because
Mm-hmm.
everything was going good. It's like, oh man, watermelon, ooh, strawberry, kiwi, this is good. And then you catch black licorice or one of them buttered popcorn, they're like a garbage flavored one. That's
Yeah.
how that game ended. Um, and the thing that's it's frustrating, not frustrating. It's like it's kind of it's uplifting. Like the penalty was of effort. It was an effort thing. But
Yeah.
you got to know, hey, you can't even touch the center now.
Yeah.
He's completely protected, the long snapper that is. So when I saw that, I was like, ooh, I don't think that they can do that. And then there went the flag, and I was like, yeah,
Yeah.
that's it. So it sucked the way it ended, but man, they definitely fought. They fought the whole game.
Yeah, they did fight the whole game. And like I said, a 10-point lead early in the fourth quarter, had some chances to add on to it. It's hard to break it down to one or two plays, but that's what it felt like. It felt like, if not for the penalty, Taylor Heineke was going to get a chance again to work some late game magic.
Yeah.
Kudos to the Vikings. They made sure that he didn't. They were setting up for that field goal. They're going to leave as little time as possible. I thought
Yeah.
Ron Rivera's time management and timeout use and challenge use were very poor yesterday. I think that he could have given the team a timeout or two to work with in the end. He seems to challenge things based on emotion as
Yeah.
opposed to waiting for the call to come down. And
Yeah,
then
what was the big challenge? I'm sorry to jump in. What was that one big challenge? It was like a trivial thing. It was like a yard. It was like a third
yeah.
down versus a first down type of a situation.
Yeah, I think it was third down going into fourth down. I think
I think it was
Taylor
Curtis
Heineke.
Samuel. Was it?
No,
No, it was it was right. You were Heineke's
yeah.
run.
Yeah, and Taylor honestly has done that a couple of times now. You kind of like know where the first down is, just dive across it. Don't go down so early. But yeah,
Yeah.
it wasn't really close. And then the other one, I'm blanking on the other challenge, but it seemed kind of ill advised as well.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
you know,
Those, I figure those challenge situations, the way that I'm looking at them, I'm not obviously not the coach, but
Right.
if it's like a a yard in the middle of the field, I'm probably not going to challenge a yard. Like I'm probably
Yeah.
feel like I need to save it for something that's probably bigger, you know, especially that timeout. Because I mean, if you lose a timeout and then you end up punting it anyways, it was like, well, hell, I'd rather you just roll the dice and see what it was, and then just go for it on fourth, you know.
Right.
So, oh, the way they play out at the end, it always sucks. But I mean, in that moment, it's tough to. I would say leave the emotion alone
Yeah.
and try to go play ball.
I'm with you. Um, yeah, it's frustrating. And then, of course, Taylor Heineke's interception in the fourth quarter. You're up 10 at that point. You can't, you know, you'll take anything except for an interception. You'll
Yeah,
take anything except for a turnover. They weren't up 10. I'm sorry. They were only up 7, but it
yeah,
allowed a short field for the Vikings to go right in and to tie the game. So that was frustrating. You were hoping you were hoping for points to put it back up to at least 10, and you can try to run out the clock a little bit, but at the very least, try to run some clock off and punt it deep. Tressway was having a monster game,
yeah.
so that was frustrating. That was a backbreaker there for the Commanders.
Was that a second down, that interception?
I think it was.
I
Let me.
think it was. I
I'm looking.
think it
Yep, second and
was.
11, and he kind of
Yeah,
got pressured up the middle. And
yeah,
I think he saw Logan Thomas. He just sailed it, and it's hard to do
yeah.
that to a guy who's 6'5", but he found a way.
Yeah, yeah. Because I mean, I remember looking at the play and I noticed they had a little high low concept. Logan ran that dig at 10, 12 yards, and somebody ran a shallow underneath. And thinking as it was second down, I was thinking he was going to just take the little easy one and let him kind of run up and put yourself in third and short. But he went for the bigger play,
Yeah,
and I'm obviously Logan was open, but yeah, he just sailed that ball. I mean, was standing about 6'6" 6'1", and you got big people in front of you. It's hard to
yeah,
follow through and get the ball come down a little bit. But I mean, if I'm gonna be put on my receiver coach hat, and be a little bit picky, I think I need Logan to kind of come out of that cut a little bit more. Maybe he can get to it. It
yeah.
looked like he kind of settled. I mean, and that's kind of what you do in zone. You try to find a nice soft spot. So I mean, it's one of those things that everybody, going to kind of say, hey, that I could have made a better play here or there, but it was just tough, man. It was tough.
Yeah, it's a tale of two games. You felt like you were doing really well after halftime. At one point, I think the Vikings only had 13 yards, so the defense was dominating. But
Yeah.
again, it's like you let them stay close. You couldn't ever really put that final nail in the coffin,
Yeah.
and that's what the Vikings honestly have done all year long. They've kind of just hung around, and then made the play at the end, and they did it again. I mean, good teams find ways to win, and they certainly have done that. But, man, a frustrating one gets away. You drop back under to 500. Now you got the Eagles coming up. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just a bummer. It's a game you certainly could have, should have, would have had.
Yeah. And then that's the one that we circled as I know I circled it as this is the one out of at those next 4 games that I felt like they had the best chance of winning, of the difficult, more, the better teams, if you will. So to drop that one to Minnesota, because I was like, well, shoot, Minnesota's going to play the other teams in the division. It would be good to get a win on those guys, and join Philly in that capacity. But now you missed out on that. But you're not too far out. There's still some work that you can do, and there's still some some ground to be made up. But let me ask you this. This isn't on our little board here.
Oh, no.
This
Pop
just
quiz.
nothing too crazy. Nothing too crazy. I want to pick your brain.
Okay.
What's a positive or something that you noticed out of the game that you did like offensive, defensively, or whatever?
Well, I'll tell you what, I was surprised by what the defense did. I thought that they really shut down the Vikings, and my biggest scare going into that Vikings game was Dalvin Cook and Justin Jefferson running and catching and going all nuts all over you. Both of those guys scored, and they kind of got their fantasy points. They didn't have huge days, but they got their fantasy points to where it was a big game. But they kept them in check, and specifically a guy like Benjamin St-Juste. I think
Yeah.
other than the touchdown, which he played pretty good coverage, Justin Jefferson is just an all-world receiver and came down with it. But
Yeah.
other than that touchdown, it was hard to pick on number 25. He definitely didn't look like a second-year player, and I think he kind of got gypped on that pick six. I don't know how much of
Yeah.
a penalty that was. I think that was a lot of hand fighting and would have been a good no call. But yeah, I was pleasantly surprised by the defense. The offense kind of let them down, but I thought they did a really good job against a legitimate offense.
Yeah, I think that the young fella has been playing very well um,
I
as of
think,
late. Ever
yeah, and I
since they
think,
had to make the switch from
yeah.
getting him back outside, uh,
Mhm.
I think he's been playing well. Go ahead. What were you saying?
No, I was going to agree with you. I think instead of, kind of going by seniority and trying to force fit, William Jackson in there on the outside and forcing him into the slot, I think that move back outside has been so clutch and he's played so well. We saw him single handedly save the Chicago game, almost had a game changing pick six yesterday, probably should have. So, yeah, he's playing really well. And honestly, I think he's your best. I think he's other than Cam Curl, I think he's been your best member of the secondary by far, and he
Yeah.
showed up again yesterday in a lot of big moments.
Yeah, absolutely. He's a physical presence, and I would like to think that him spending time inside at the slot probably helps him play outside even better because he can
Sure.
understand what's going to go on the inside there. And then I just feel like whenever you're able to see things from different viewpoints and different perspectives, it's going to help you overall.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, just try it in your house. All right. Try it in your house. Go sit in a different chair than you normally sit in and look in the exact same room. You'll be like, wow, this is a pretty cool room from over here. Didn't even realize it. So
Yeah.
it's a small thing, but I think that perspective from playing inside in the slot, understanding the coverage from in there, now you can play a little bit better on the outside. But I don't know. He's definitely progressing well, and I'm glad to see how he's going. My positive, the thing I think I liked was I liked the balance in the play calling. Sure, we did. It wasn't as explosive as you would like, but I like the balance, and I think the
Yeah.
balance is this type of attack is what's going to work best for Washington. Being able to run the ball consistently and have some decent efficiency. I mean, Robinson and Gibson averaged 3.4 and 3.3 yards per carry, so nothing too crazy. I mean, I'd love to get another yard from each of them on that, but being able to run it consistently has been good, and it's going to be helpful for Taylor Heineke, and he operates the offense pretty well. So that balance was a positive thing for me to see.
I think also on the offensive side, um, Curtis Samuel just kind of shows up in the clutchest moments. He always seems to be Heineke's go-to target on third or fourth down. He runs the ball well. I think that you can't say enough about what he brings to the offense. And then, despite the ill-advised triple coverage, ref helping out, with the pick play, to see him come down with that ball, regardless, was awesome. So it's really awesome to see Curtis Samuel finding a big role in this offense, and he's making a lot of plays, and hopefully they can continue to find ways to get him involved. Another guy kind of off the radar that I really like to see was Armani Rogers. He had a nice rush there, and it seems like he's touched the ball maybe 4 or 5 times, and they've all been first rounds or big plays. So it'd be nice to get him involved, especially because I don't know that Logan Thomas is completely 100%. We
Yeah.
know Cole Turner's dealing with a concussion. John Bates is a solid blocking tight end. I think he had a nice catch yesterday, but you could use a little bit more out of the tight end position. And it looks like you kind of have like a hidden gem there in Armani Rogers. So I'd love to see them get him more involved too.
Yeah, you just kind of work guys in, and it is something that he does have a package of plays that get utilized. So he brings a value. I mean, shoot, 24 yards, one carry. That's
Yeah.
big right there. So,
Yeah.
but ultimately, man, they dropped it. They dropped the game,
Yeah.
and it sucked. It sucked, and when I was tracking all of our picks, from week 9. And when we picked this game, what was the line? Do you remember?
I want to say it was 3 or 3.5 Minnesota's way.
It was 3.5 Minnesota's way. So, in the odd scenario, I went with Washington to at least cover, and they did. They did cover. So, um, you want to take a look at some picks? What were your
Yeah,
week? What was your overall just week 9? Just kind of highlight. What was a big thing for you from week 9?
I could not believe what the Jets did. I did not think that they were going to take down the Bills. I think they came back. They were down by a bit, and they came back and won. The Jaguars came back and won. There were a couple of interesting picks there that went ways I did not expect. It was an entertaining game. I think there were only maybe one or two blowouts. Everything else was super close. So that's always good football to me. I know I'm sure my picks didn't go the right way, but hey, that's football.
Well, I mean, at least at one point, I think about halfway through before the afternoon games, I think you were 4-4, and I think I was like 5-4. So it wasn't too bad. It
Yeah.
wasn't too bad, but I mean, it's just
How
like I
did
think
AAA parlay do?
man, let's see who won. Did Seattle win or
Seattle
did
did win.
Arizona? Okay, so
Seattle
that would have
won.
been that one. The Rams didn't win.
No, they
So
got
the
Tom Brady.
parlay would have went kaput. But
Mm,
in the weird odd circumstance, that was a 3-point game. There was a 3-point spread in that Tampa LA game, and it was a 3-point game. So that one would be a tie.
push, yeah.
That's a push. So I had taken the Rams. You took Tampa Bay. Everybody's good. Pick your money back up. We're good there. So yeah, I think it was just a little weird. There were a couple of little splits. I didn't tally them all out, but the last game left is Baltimore and New Orleans,
Yeah.
and we both took Baltimore there. So
Yeah, I think the Ravens should be fine on that one. Yeah, so another interesting week. Like I said, I can't believe we're halfway through. And speaking of, as frustrating as a loss as that was for the Commanders, you sit there and you look at it. They are in the 9 spot currently behind the Falcons and the 49ers. 49ers are 4-4. They didn't play this week. Falcons are 4-5. They win the tiebreaker because they have a better record in conference over the Commanders, but they play both of those teams. So as frustrating as that loss was to the Vikings, you got everybody left in front of you. You got a big division game on Monday night. Go shock the world and beat the Eagles. Then you got the Texans and the Falcons coming up. I mean, we said it even last week that they have the entire season out in front of them. It's not over by any means. It's a frustrating loss, but can't let it pile up. You got everything everything you want to accomplish is right there in front of you.
yeah, you really got to put on your like just scholar student helmet and just get in there and study the film and just get to know your opponent who you're going against this week.
Yeah.
And really each and every week you got to treat it as if your season is depending on it, because it really is. I mean, it really is. If you drop one game, you can essentially say it's time to look at some other people and see if they're going to be somebody that you want on this team in the future. But if you're hanging around that 9th spot, yeah, you can string a couple wins together and find yourself into that top 7 and get yourself a playoff game. So, like, I'm a fan of winning. I'm a proponent of winning. You see how even though people trashed on the game against Chicago, matter of fact, Chicago putting up 32 points against the Dolphins, right? You trashing on that Chicago game. It strung off 3 wins in a row, and they almost beat this Minnesota team. Winning is good. Winning is a good thing.
Absolutely. And like we said, it's right there in front of you. You never know what can happen week to week. I mean, look at the Jets, look at the Jaguars, look at these teams that are pulling off some upsets. We saw the Eagles look kind of human on Thursday night. I know it's coming off a short week or whatever, and the Texans are probably playing inspired, being at home. But hey, you never know what can happen, and so I'm with you. Go win. It doesn't have to be pretty. It doesn't have to be beautiful, but go get a W and string some more together again and get on a roll here, because you look at the schedule. It's crunch time. It's getting to be crunch time. You got the Eagles, Texans, Falcons, Giants. Your bye, Giants again, and depending on how those games go, you could be right in the middle of it, or you could be right on the outside looking in, or the season could be over. So you got everything that you want. Now it's just to see what this team is made of and what they do here moving forward.
Yep. And just thinking, we're going to talk about this specific matchup later on in the week, but This is a different Commanders team. I was thinking about hitting my head and I was typing it in. I wanted to go back and look at the game, the previous game, but this is a different Commanders team than it was when they
Mm-hmm.
first met Philly. But this is very much the same Philly team that the Commanders went up against before. So if
Yeah.
I have to give an advantage, I got to give a little bit of an advantage to the Commanders, just for the simple fact that you don't really know what you're going to get. And yeah, I know Philly is undefeated. Let's not disrespect them. But hey, there's been adjustments. This is not a different. It's a different defense. The D line has been humming. We just talked
Yeah.
about Benjamin St. Juice. I think he'll be a good physical matchup for AJ Brown. Uh,
And
Go ahead.
Chase Young, Jahan Dotson, either maybe both of those guys could be back. Brian Robinson was not around in that first matchup as well. You're absolutely right. I kind of put the Eagles game out of my mind, but hopefully they're taking some stuff that they learned from that. Some of the stuff that the Texans did last week.
Yeah.
You can beat a team any given Sunday. I think that's what makes the NFL so good. You never know what's going to happen. It's why these picks are so terrible, because you think you got it figured out, and then a team surprises you. So yeah, I'm with you. That's a good point. How do you handle that as a player? So you got your butt kicked the first time around. You got the chance to play a divisional opponent again. What's going through your head? Are you working back through that game, thinking about what went wrong? What are you focusing on when you have that second game coming up around again?
But generally, when you're preparing for a team, you're going to look at the most recent matchups that they've played. Two or three games prior, just to see what they're doing now. But when it is a divisional opponent, somebody you've played before, yeah, you definitely have to go back and see how did they treat some of your base position, base formations, things of that nature. And plus, you want to see how certain players played against you. So you definitely reference that old tape, but then you want to see also, are they doing some of those same things now? And if they are, then perfect. You can prepare for that. And you can see what worked against them before, what didn't work. But a really smart thing to do. And it sounds so simplistic, and not everybody does this. Sometimes you got to look and see what worked against them from
Mm-hmm.
previous teams. I remember Santana Moss telling me, I think it might have been that, what was like the 06, 07 year where they went on a run. He said that they would look at the previous game and be like, this was a big play. This was a big play. This was a big play. Can we put in something like this? And they're like, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And then they would run it. Chances are that other team hadn't fixed it yet. And plus, if it's new to them, they haven't seen you do it. And then it's new to you. So like it ends up being like a ace in your hand, ace in the hole.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's a good point. And so, I think there are definitely positives to be taken away from that bad loss, but also, like you said, they've been playing good football, and even up until the fourth quarter yesterday, they played good football. So there's a lot of positive to build off of. I'm not doom and gloom. One loss isn't going to make or break the team, as heartbreaking as it was, but yeah, they got a chance here to do something special, and why not go be Philly's first loss? This team did it a couple of years ago when they were the Steelers' first loss at 11-0. You never know what can happen, and I got to think that Ron Rivera is not letting these guys get too down, and that they're going to get right back at it. Kind of a little extra day or so to prepare for it too. Unfortunately, Philly gets the whole weekend because they played on Thursday night, but take that extra day off and go shock the world.
Yeah, I think it'll be good, but you got to be careful out there in Philly, man. Folks be throwing batteries and
Yeah, they're not
all
nice
type of
people.
stuff, man.
Yeah, that's why I didn't feel too bad that they lost 2 championships on the same night. I did not feel too bad.
Mm.
Good for them for being there, but hey, sorry, I
And
couldn't bring it
that
home.
that and that daggone mattress Mac, man.
Wow,
I
yeah.
tell you what, it's just. I mean, it should have been, but it's definitely
How
at the point where it's like just bet roll with Mac, man.
how close are you to that guy? I don't know where in Texas he is.
Oh, I mean, well, like I texted him, but he didn't hit me back. But in like physical relation, probably about 5 hours.
Okay,
So
okay.
yeah, Mac hit me up, man.
Yeah, I saw that. That's crazy. But yeah, so big one coming up. We'll be ready to talk all about it. Tough one that the Commanders lost, but same 24 hours rule. We weren't celebrating the wins for too long. You got to get right back at it. So we know this team will be ready to go. Home stretch, second half of the season coming up. Hopefully, you're getting the Predator Chase Young back. You're getting the rookie Jahan Dotson back, and some more wins are coming. So we'll be there to break it all down. We appreciate you guys checking us out. Don't forget to go to Bet Online and put in your bets. Use our code BLEAV. And also check us out on all the different platforms, as Anthony mentioned earlier in the show.
Yes, indeed. Tune in, Sirius Radio. What else? Stadium, if you catch us over there. YouTube, if you want to
Everywhere.
look at us.
Yeah,
All your streaming spots. All
that's right.
those, man. It's all good. Appreciate you, Brian, man. Good
Yeah,
luck to you.
thank you. Appreciate you, and appreciate you, listeners, and we will talk to you soon. Be good.
All right, y'all. Y'all be easy.